Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today we are taking a break from our Ghibli watch through to look at a new movie that just got released on Amazon Prime in the UK a couple of days ago, which is One Night in Miami, directed by Regina King, starring Kingsley Ben-Adir, Eli Gore, Aldis Hodge, and Leslie Odom Jr. After a then 22-year-old Cassius Clay wins his world title for the first time, he retreats to a hotel with his friends Malcom X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Browne, and they have a conversation. Before I get into the review, if you like what I do on this channel, consider clicking that like button and subscribe to the channel. Not forget to hit that bell notification so you know whenever I put a new video up. But without further ado, let's dive into this review. So first and foremost, it's one of those films that is based off a real event but is mostly fiction. It is known in autobiographies that the meeting of these four icons did meet in this motel the day before Cassius Clay came out as a Muslim, and the rest of the premise though and all the discussions are based on these people, their ideologies and their beliefs. The biggest shot I have to give this is the performances of the cast in general, because the script in this is extremely tight. It's a very clever script that delves into a lot of social themes and questions a few things that are never really brought out in these sort of social commentaries. Last year there has been a lot of these films that have featured a group of black men conversing about the wider social stigma about being black and what their responsibilities are in this world, but the film touched on a few new things I've not seen touched on before. For one, there's a great little moment where Jim Browne is talking to Malcom X and talking about skin complexions of the different shades and how they generally segregate from each other, and whether he thinks Malcom X is trying to prove himself to either the white folk or to the black folk and not the dark-skinned ones, as he worded it, I believe. Kingsley Ben-Adir and Leslie Odom Jr. are by far the standouts in this movie for me. The way that Malcom X and Sam Cooke are at odds with each other constantly about the different outlooks, how they call each other out on certain aspects, and how things get referenced. It's just great seeing these two bounce off each other. I came into this thinking it was going to be mostly focused on Muhammed Ali and Malcom X, and whilst there was a considerable amount of time focused on Malcom X, Sam Cooke came out of nowhere and just stole the show in terms of a character. These two going at each other. They're still best friends, but they are picking each other apart piece by piece, and it's just masterfully crafted. Regina King has directed the ever-loving hell out of this movie. The framings, for one, are fantastic cinematography-wise. They make sure to show that all four of these men are equal at all times. There's no one dominating the frame when it's a four-person shot. They're all evenly spread. Their heights and postures are all the exact same. They are all on the same level as each other, and it conveys that not a single one of them is superior to another, which I think is a great shout, because going into this, I'll be honest, I only know about Malcom X and Muhammad Ali. Didn't know who Sam Cooke was, and didn't know who Jim Browne was, and I feel like that is a slight on my part, because obviously I'm not American, but I should at least know who Sam Cooke is, because he did sing a couple of songs that I've listened to since that I do recognise, but I never associated them with Sam Cooke. The film does a very good job of conveying all their personalities and beliefs and give them all an individual character. I'll say the only person that feels was a bit underutilised was Jim Browne, but whenever I got to feeling that he doesn't need to be here, he has a small moment that justifies his position to be here. Obviously this meeting did happen in real life, but it is not really known what was discussed in the meeting, as there are a number of conflicting stories from each man's perspective within this. There are some powerful speeches, powerful monologues, and it's just really, really well crafted. This film is held up from the performances. The script is tight as hell, and the directing, Regina King smashed it out of the park for her first ever directorial feature. In terms of flaws of this film, I would say it does take a while to get really going, for myself personally anyway. When I'm watching this, I was thinking, it's fine, it's nice to see these iconic characters together on screen, but it didn't really do anything that stood out to me or blew my mind until a certain bit where they end up at a rooftop. For the first bit, it just seemed to be a lot of guys jiving and chatting with each other, and there was very little substance beyond this besides here's Malcom X, here's Muhammed Ali, here is Jim Browne, here is Sam Cooke. Though I do like some of the subtleties in the earlier stages, specifically with Sam Cooke doing a performance. There are some subtleties in there that are really clever. Overall, One Night in Miami is one of those films that a lot of people are praising it or finding it underwhelming. Me personally, I did enjoy it. This is a tight script. Performances, mwah. Directing, brilliant. My only problem with it is there have been a number of films in 2020 that have had a similar structure of a group of black people spitting dialogue on the social standing of black people in society. And after so many times of seeing that, they have the risk of getting a bit samey. It's like when you're watching a Western and all Westerns feel the same. Zombie films end up being the same. And this is sort of becoming its own little subgenre in itself, which is unfortunate because the dialogue is important and the dialogue is never boring. The dialogue is always amazing to latch onto, and that's what sucks me into these films, is the way they bounce off of each other. But most importantly, this film just reminded me how important it is to have a conversation. These guys all have different beliefs politically and socially, but they are still friends. They could attack each other for these beliefs, but they actually do it through a conversation. I think having a conversation with people about things that you believe that they don't believe and vice versa is very important in this day and age. We have grown accustomed to everyone just throwing insults at each other, and this film just reminded me how important it is just to have these conversations. The closest real life example I could do for myself here is I live in the UK. We had the old Brexit vote. I voted Remain, but I knew a couple of people that voted Leave, including someone I was seeing at the time. And rather than then call them the scum of the earth for it, we have a discussion about it, and it's very important to have these discussions. You're not going to change their minds at all, but it's nice to see both sides of the fence. Bits where Sam Cooke is talking about Muhammad Ali always calling all the white people the devil, but not acknowledging the fact that in Chicago there are black people that are pushing drugs and damaging the communities. That was Sam Cooke's side of things, and Malcom X is all about we're all one people and we need to stick together to overthrow the white menace. Like, that's just the simplistic terms. Obviously there's a lot more levels to both these guys' outlooks, but it's just great to see the two sides of the argument coming together and it being, while aggressive and heated at times, a very philosophical discussion, which we need more of in this world. So this is why I ended up really enjoying this film, because it's just great to see a discussion happening on film. But overall for me, I'm going to have to say that One Night in Miami for me is a good cup of tea. So One Night in Miami, have you seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought of that in the comments below. And again, if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking that bell notification. It would really help me a lot. And don't forget to click that like button if you've made it this far as well. Coming up on the channel, got Spirited Away to come to you guys. And we have a few other new films coming out. I've just seen Over the Wire, but I probably won't do a review of that. But I will do a Promising Young Woman review at some point soon. So keep an eye out for that. But until next time, my name is Josh. I have been Movie Apprentice. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you for watching and thank you for making it to the end of the video. While you're here, if you haven't done it yet, please feel free to drop a like and consider hitting that subscribe button for more reviews coming all the time. And also, while you are here, there are some other videos over there that you might want to sink your teeth into. Have a good day, guys, and do enjoy.